Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of the EUphoria podcast, available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. I'm Drakos, joined by Dagda and our special guest for the week, Nuke.
Yeah, and we talked all things BDS, kind of how Nuke has had to evolve as a veteran player on his squad, and then what the hell is going on in the LEC this week, because Jesus Christ, it was bedlam.
Yeah, it says about, that's all there is to it, really. Let's talk about it. All right, here we are. Welcome, Nuke. We did make you wait a little bit. We are recording at the end of the day on Monday, but thank you for waiting. Luckily, SK obliged us by quickly defeating Fnatic, which we'll talk about in a moment. But it's good to have you, man. How is everything going? Has it been weird for you at all with this new format? You just didn't come into the studio for 2 days.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it personally. More time to do everything, more time to practice, more time to do our life. And you also have more competitive games because you do best of threes, not best of ones that can end level 1 like this or just by random stuff happening. So yeah, I'm glad they made the changes.
Do you when you're saying the practice is better and stuff, do you find that you're able to work on things for longer, or is it you're able to focus on a team specifically coming into
both, I think. The fact that you only play 2 teams, I think, per week max.
Mm-hmm.
First, you have way better preparation against them, and second, you since you have 6 weeks before the playoff to actually know if it's over or not, you have just more time to practice, right? So in both ways, it's just a bonus for the player.
It was a really weird week of League of Legends, boys. Yeah. I think it's safe to say. Week
Indeed.
1, some good, some bad, some ugly. So we're going to bring that segment back. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And unlike normally where we each pick a thing, I'm fine if everything is ugly, everything is good, or everything is bad this week. Again, if you're not familiar with the segment, it's just something good from the week. It could be a player, a play, a team, something bad from the week. And then ugly, which can be, really anything. And luckily this week provided a decent number of examples of that. And so I was going to start with Casey MKOI, but if either of you have anything from today.
I have.
You have? You want to go? You want to go? You want to go? What do you have?
Wait, ugliest?
Ugly is the worst possible, or goofy, or just dumb, terrible. Bad is bad, but it's not the worst. It's just bad. Okay. And then good is good. Anything positive. It can be a player, a team, a play, a champion, whatever you want.
Okay. I hesitate between 2 stuff. Fnatic SK game 1 from Fnatic, or our game 2 with the lead we have. The map configuration that happens,
Yeah. Is this bad or ugly? I think that's the first question.
You don't think it's good?
I don't think it was on the good.
Not that good. I would say ugly. Okay, I will choose, just because it's my team, I will choose Fnatic.
Yeah. We'll get a chance to talk. We can talk more about your team later. Rob, you cast that game 1.
Yeah, it was. So I think partly was me just losing my mind that SK are actually doing some cool things.
Yeah.
I think for Bukita and Loopy, I was surprised at how well they work together. I wasn't expecting to kind of cover stuff as well as they did. But then I also just kind of watched Fnatic lose their minds and try and throw everything in the kitchen sink to make it happen. So it was kind of I got to lean on the, hey, SK is doing cool stuff. But a lot of that for Fnatic, I was like, what the hell is going on?
Actually, game 2 was worse from Fnatic. Never mind. I changed. No, never mind. I changed fully. Game 2 was a disaster.
Yeah.
Because SK was such in a good spot, then they threw by getting caught with double TP and then Nash. Mm-hmm. And then Nash, they get the Nash 100%, they kill the jungler. Oscarinin just flashing in front of 5 people when Nash is 6k HP, dies, and his whole team, it's not they let him die and get Nash, right? They just follow him. And just accept their fate of wanting to lose 2-0 to SK. Legit, it's
It was also the dragon that made me lose my mind.
It was a ritual sacrifice.
They all just went. But I was I watched the dragon. I was oh yeah, Razork is coming from base. They'll just wait to take the dragon until Razork gets there. And fair play to Bukita, he gets the VIQ into the flash to get the steal. Yeah. But I was your MKOI is 3 seconds away. Just wait. There is no reason for you to start this objective at all. So yeah, there was a couple of times from Fnatic I was just what the hell is going on? Why are we doing this?
So my question, I guess, to you, Nuke, about this is Fnatic have built up this reputation amongst the broadcast team for sure, and I think also amongst the fans of being absolute throw lords, right? After summer last year, How do teams perceive them? Like, does this show up in scrims? Is this also something that you guys think about? Is like maybe Fnatic just throws a game when we play against them?
No,
or is this mostly just an external thing?
I think more of us, like in the throwing part.
Yeah.
But Fnatic, I did never consider them as like a throwing team, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the team that come back in mid-game because they're playing with, like, they do better map movement, they're on side on the right timer, get little lead there and there, but like I don't consider them as this. That's why I was like mind blown with their stuff. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a super, super messy series. And it's weird because day one, it felt pretty convincing, right? And GX on paper should be a better team. Now, I know that the roster swaps can take time for adjustment, but SK made more roster swaps, right? So I don't know where the hell this leaves us with Fnatic, because they still don't like. If you lost to SK, no offense to new SK, because might have to change our expectations and discussion around SK depending on how the rest of the series look. But you could lose to anybody.
Yeah, but I think that like there was a stark difference between like day one and today, because like as you were highlighting, excuse me, sorry, the way Fnatic played day one was, hey, we've got upside on a mid wave, we're just going to clear wave, and then we're going to move Razork and Mickey to a side lane to make a play. Or like even at times they were moving upset as well to like overload a side lane and make the plays happen, right? But then today it just felt like every time it was like Mickey just going solo. They didn't really have the control they need. Mickey would get caught, and they did try and go. Now, actually, to be fair, a couple of times in the game they like did a good job of getting the numbers advantages that they need to, but it was just they'd end up getting caught in these weird positions that they didn't on day one or regularly wouldn't. So I don't know what the comms were or if they were like trying something new, but it just didn't work today.
From your guys' perspective, is it just like it's like a bad day, whatever, we'll see if it matters, just rough one? Yeah. So for SK then, rough day for Fnatic. Are we hyped now? Because I think this roster on paper, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because we obviously don't get to see scrims, but people were pretty much ready to put this as like they were fighting for Rogue with Rogue for 10th.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
It's not a nice thing to say, but that's kind of what the expectations were. But I was very surprised.
Like today, like for mid perspective, Rika kind of gave to Manuid, you know, like low key, high key. Like laning phase, both time he gave to him, and yeah, he had more impact overall in the game compared to Manuid. So like I'm proud of him, you know.
Yeah, that was sick.
So good.
I think the scream from the coaching staff at the end said a lot of where their heads were at, because I don't think they were really expecting it either. Like,
for sure not.
But I think they did play really well. I think like there was clearly some missteps and mistakes. Like there was the dragon in game 2 where they like try and go in for it. I think it was first dragon. Bukata goes over the wall with Loopy and they're trying to kill Upset. They can't get him. Like there's some small mistakes like that, but I think those are fixable mistakes. I think the really cool thing was seeing like how well Loopy and Bukata worked together on. Like I think that was really, really impressive. The way that they were able to set up, and the team fights as well from Kadui I thought was sick. So yeah, I think there was like some really cool parts of SK that I'm actually hyped for now. Like I don't think this is something that just like, well, fingers crossed, doesn't just disappear the next time we see them on stage.
Yeah, I feel like you never know, right? But it's good to know. I think that it's important because anytime, like every moment in League, people can either choose to classify it as like an outplay or misplay, and a lot of times it's a little bit of both. Yeah. But oftentimes, I think when Fnatic are playing and having a bad day, it's just like flame Fnatic. No one else can see any credit. So it's good to give. I think it's good to give a little bit of that credit back for SK. Like we'll see. They don't. It's not easy for them, right? And I could say they don't have the easiest schedule, but everyone kind of has the same schedule. So we'll just see like what their momentum looks like in the weeks to come. Next up on the list. Maybe it's just bad, because you're right that today was ugly, and that series was ugly. So I'm just going to say it's bad. This is my bad. Casey versus MKOI, game 3. Bad. The Universal, I've seen this is a great time for Reddit threads, by the way. The post-match threads for any Casey and or MKOI game, some of it's toxic, but a lot of it is just hilarious. This was... I thought MKOI would not have a chance in this series. I thought like if they were going to win, it was going to be because KC were out of shape. It wasn't going to be like, but then they were winning, and they continued to be winning in that game 3, and then they just
Like, you're saying this is bad. I kind of want to push it into ugly as to what happened to Jankos because he had to shave his eyebrows when he didn't even.
Wow,
Oh, wait, I forgot you got the photo. Shout out Anna. I wasn't sure if we'd have the photo in time.
Bro, it doesn't feel like normal, you know? Like,
It's not. This is. Yeah. This is.
It's incredible.
Like, sometimes people do this as a stylistic thing, and I'll never get it. It looks so like inhuman.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
You look like an alien
Yeah, it's
person.
But the worst part was he gifted 150 subs before this to be like, I'm not going to shave my eyebrows. And then had to shave his eyebrows anyway. So he just lost on both accounts.
it grew up, right? It grew up back.
Hopefully.
Like,
Yeah. It'll grow back. It'll grow back.
Okay,
I
then
never
it's fine.
shave my eyebrows either,
Like
but
same.
I promise you, some of your eyebrow hair will fall out,
Okay,
and so it
okay.
has to grow back. It's not like you get one and you're done. You know, it's not like teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fine.
We'll see though. That was a really dumb bet. Maybe the next bet will be he'll start ripping teeth out of his head, and we'll have to find out. That was bad. I don't know. Like, it's just this thing where, and I'm feeling like this is a trend for the week where teams are just sloppy this first week.
Yeah.
There's some loose comms, there's some lack of coordination, and I guess for MKOI that's all it is. I think people have very much simplified it to say that Elise was the most important champion in that game because somehow Aurora was baited in and they just threw the entire game in that single moment. But
I didn't realize X lions were as afraid of spiders as they were. You know?
I don't know. So what does this one actually mean? Because my impression is like there's not a lot to take from it, but I think the thing for me is like MKOI are a bit of a mystery because I've heard they're doing pretty well in scrims.
Yeah.
But also my instinct when I look at this team based on last split was if JoJo levels up and super performs well, like I think they're a pretty strong team. I really think top with how Mirwan's been playing jungle support are really good. And then it was just Super was solid and JoJo was having some honestly terrible games in winter. But now after this series, I just don't know. JoJo looks a little bit like a Talia merchant right now, is my impression. It was Azir the first split. It feels like it's Talia this split. I'm concerned he's got one champ under his belt at any given moment. What are your thoughts? Have you scrimmed MKOI at all? Do you have strong
We didn't
opinions?
scrim Koi yet, but yeah, like you said, it's kind of a mystery because Koi in my head, like even JoJo is like, I think a strong player, like from scrimming and playing against him. I would not put him like on the like same tier as like Larson, everyone like from the lower tier, but like on stage, I don't know, like he seems really confident as a human, you know, like as a player as well. He like trash talk people, you know, to trash talk people, you have to like be confident about your gameplay and stuff. But I feel like when he plays on stage, then he's just like choking, actually, like no joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's kind of strange, you know, it's just strange.
Like you just don't see that same confidence on stage.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what you're saying.
not at all. Like I think like everyone sees it, right? But
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, you did just put him because you made a very rapid fire mid lane
Yeah.
tier list today with Shocks. You put him just outside of top 4, which is I'll just say top 4 for now. If
Yeah.
you want to see the tier list, it's on LEC at Twitter, or you could have seen it on the live broadcast. But it's Vladdy and Caps at the top, and then you and Humanoid at the tier right below, and then JoJo kind of between the A and B tier, which I like. You didn't even use D tier. You're very polite.
yeah,
You basically did.
Yeah.
The D tier is there. If you
Yeah.
look closely and you move some names down, it's there. But you didn't want to call anyone D tier, so I respect
they
it.
want to commit too much, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, the tier list is just like even Shaik, I was really impressed by him.
Yeah, big time.
Like not only by the stage game, like I think Vitality as a whole is actually a really good team. But yeah, Shaik was just like from Scream and from like general, he's playing way better than previous split.
Yeah.
Which is always like shocking in the moment when you see a player that, you know, like you play against him, you like in some games like it's unplayable because he throw lanes or like
Yeah.
he's playing really bad in some aspect, and then suddenly he's becoming stable, good, doing his job properly. It's always like shocking to see. You know?
Yeah. Does it throw you? Have you ever gone into a game where you're like, I don't think this guy is good, and you're not playing disrespectful yet? Like you're not. I'm not trying to say you're underestimating your opponent, but you're like, okay, this guy's, you know, he's grief lane before. It's gonna be a fine game, and then you rock up, and suddenly their fundamentals are clean, and you're like, what the hell is happening?
Usually that's what happens on Scrim when I have like already like a pre-judgment on someone.
Yeah.
But then like on stage usually not, because like I just play for my life, you know. Like I cannot just undervalue someone.
Every opponent is Chovy.
Yeah, like, exactly.
That's probably a better mentality
It's
to have.
better.
No, this is why I could never be a competitor, Rob. Once I've decided someone is bad, they're bad forever. If I'm playing against them. For pros, I'll give you guys a second chance. If I play against someone and they make one misplay, I'm like, this guy's terrible.
Yeah.
And then I'll feed and lose the game. So
But yeah, I also just I feel a little bad for Elioya in that series as well, because I think game 1 was not good from him. But like game 2 and 3, I think he had a pretty decent performance. And then the game just kind of fell apart. So I don't know. It feels like for Movistar Koi, it's just, again, like I feel like they can always get these early leads, but then it just is like, what the hell happens from that point on?
yeah, it's really weird. Also, I think that the way that they view themselves as a team is so different from at least how I view them, in the sense that I'm like, if Elioya and Alvaro and Mirwin can just make stuff happen, like everything's fine.
Yeah.
I believe they can come back in a game. But then they draft these compositions that are like the Braum or the whatever, where it's lower agency for those guys, and it always just looks worse. And I know that's an oversimplification to just focus on little aspects of draft like that. But it would, I feel like it would just make their life easier if they just had proactive champs for their proactive players.
I do want to ask you something, though, because like you played Aurora last split.
Yeah.
And I've started to see a lot of Aurora. And like I've been looking at the win rate globally. It's like a 40% win rate in LPL. It's super low here too. Is this something that you think is just like super strong in scrims and that's why we're seeing on stage because it gets to snowball and take over? Or is it like, hey, we're just not seeing drafts that are like helping her to get access to backline and stuff, or what's happening?
Sorry, you're just fighting the good fight. I have a personal take, but I'll wait for you to say your opinion first.
Well, Aurora, I think, is like first people in scrims draft more randomly, I would say. So Aurora as a champ itself is really strong. First, really strong laner. People in scrim are just not taking lane as seriously as on stage. And draft are way less structured, which is favored for Aurora, right? Like on stage, suddenly there's like 10 million tank and you have 10 million CC and then you're even, but your champ even is really bad. So, but I still think the champ kind of like Azir in a way, the gap between a really good Aurora player and a really like an okay Aurora player or slash good will create the win rate difference, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like 40% rate, probably because of like just the champ itself. You don't, it's not a DPS one. It will always be harder to play, but I feel like that's how the champ works.
What do you like look for that separates a good versus bad Aurora, or like a medium Aurora versus a really good Aurora?
Like, I guess first laning. I think if you have Aurora, you have to win lane. Like you have to, otherwise it's just not good. And yeah, in mid game, like position team fighting, like how you use your ult and every spell. Like if enemy sidestep both of your spell, you're useless. So you actually like need to play perfect to make the champ good. So yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So mid laners have their own Lucian Nami, is what I'm hearing. Like this is absolutely this is the most. I quit. Okay, so this is what I thought it might be: is that it is a scrim pick, and that is a quintessential scrim pick to me.
Yeah.
Right. It's like I believe it can work, and it will generally do well in scrims, similar to the Lucian Namis of the world, because they're more aggressive or people are a little bit looser. But yeah, based on everything we've seen so far. This champ is
the problem is it isn't contained to the
stage.
mid lane. It's top as well.
You're right. Top laners also have. I mean, the problem is top laners already had like 50 Lucians.
Oh, fair.
They had Fiora. They had Quinn. Like I can
Renekton,
Kled, like whatever your pocket useless side laning pocket pick was, and they don't need more. But now they have one that the mid laners also agree is playable.
But then they get to say it's a flex pick. It's great. It's gonna be wonderful.
And to be fair, flex pick. I mean, that is a rational argument. I can't argue with flex pick. Dagda, before we move on to some community questions, what's your good, bad, ugly? We've kind of got two uglies now. Do you have any good for the week? Is there any even just please just a crumb of bad maybe?
But I'm like my good was going to be SK, but I feel like we've kind of already
we kind of hit
it on the nail on the head, right? Like this was a major stepping point for me. A step up for me, and then kind of looking at the other series, like. I don't think there was anything where I was like completely blown away or like something completely caught me off guard. I suppose Rogue Game 2s maybe is my good, and then nothing else really works for them because they win their Game 2 all the time, isn't it?
Didn't they lose Game 2? No.
No, they won Game 2 today.
They won the game 2 today, and then they lost horrifically game 2 versus Team Reddings. It was game 1 versus Team Reddings, where they should have won.
They have that one game then.
Where they should have won.
Okay, I take it back. Yeah. The SK is my good, but I feel like we've already kind of...
Yeah, I guess last question on this then is for Rogue. Mm-hmm. Are Rogue better this split? Is my question to both of you. He didn't say it with words, but he said it with his face.
The problem. Okay, I will list the problem with Rogue.
Okay.
First of all,
yes.
Okay.
You can take your time.
Yes. Okay.
And just a reminder, this is a pre-recorded show. So if you say something and you decide it is way too inflammatory, you can re-say it. That's okay.
Okay. I'll start with my lane, Larson.
Yeah.
I think Larson is too passive to create like good or like situation for his team. Most about laning, even though it was his most powerful strength in the past, which is kind of confusing. Like right now, his laning is just not good at putting pressure. And so this is the first problem. Second problem, probably like everything. Okay, we also have a lot of problem, right? But Rogue, when you play against them, you feel like game is unlosable, you know? Like you have this feeling when you play. So it's like something is off, you know?
You did lose a game
like,
to Rogue today.
Okay.
Sorry. It was right there. Like, you can't set me up and not expect me to dunk it.
We lost kinda the first game.
Yeah.
But even this game, like we were in the back foot.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they're just trolling the map. We get Atakan, we dive T2 top, we get the leads. Then there's the 4 Drake fight. We should win. Mm-hmm. Should. We lost. And,
yeah, I remember.
Even like I'll take back the third game. Like Larson on LeBlanc is getting a lead by his lovely teammates. A lot of gank on mid. And he's not using the champion really well in mid game.
I did watch him distortion over a wall into your gravity field. And he just got a little sad.
Kind of like it's those moments, you know, that you have this feeling that you cannot lose the game, you know, against them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, hearts out to Rogue. It's a toughie. I like that that Larson spam more solo queue. I think Patrick has had a pretty good couple of series.
Patrick was good today.
I think he had a good Ashe game in their first series, and obviously was good on the Ezreal, good in the Corki game, the game 2 that you guys mostly dominated. But he was consistently, obviously Corki's damage numbers are always going to be a bit inflated, but he was consistently auto-attacking in hard fights, which I think is a tough thing to do.
Actually, maybe that's my good. Maybe not so much in this series, but I think Adam has actually been pretty solid for Rogue. Not this series, but his first series, he was insane.
His first game, he was insane. Game 2, he was...
well, the Aurora was really good, and the Gwen was really good in the Heretic series.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he had good pressure in game 1, didn't he?
Like I'm all for the Adam love. He's had really good moments. He had really good moments in the Nara game, and he had really bad moments in the Nara game.
I'm not gonna lie, I was getting makeup during these games, so I'm...
Why did you bring it up? Why did you bring it up as the good?
Because I just remember the first 2 from the first series. Like Adam went 8-0 in Aurora, which is why I brought up the Aurora question.
The first game, beautiful. Shame that they lost it. Good up for Team Heretics, but yeah. I mean, we'll just have to see. We're gonna have a lot of time to talk about League of Legends, but you mentioned that you also have more time for other life stuff. When we bring people onto the podcast, we get to learn a little bit about the hobbies. Obviously, we know you as Nuke, the mid laner. But when you have free time, what are you doing in Berlin? Are you a food guy?
Piano guy.
Oh, sick.
Like,
bro. Okay, cool.
Really like going, you know, because at home I just have like an electric piano, like that looks like a real one. Yeah. But I like to go to just places where you can, there's practice room for a real piano and just play there for like hours. And
do you go to any of the concerts and stuff that are on, or is it
no?
Like
I don't have time. But
how long have you been playing piano?
Started when I was like, I think 13, 14. It's been like 9 years.
Dang.
10 years.
You can read sheet music? That might sound like a weird question.
I cannot.
But
like, I know nothing about theory of the music.
Okay.
But I just like basically learned, like dumb way. Like I go on YouTube, the notes that are falling, I learn in the start, and then now because I learned so many songs, I recognize some patterns in the songs, and now I can improvise on those like chords of songs.
Man, that's sick.
You are
that's so cool.
Third person in esports I have met who knows no theory,
and
who can read no music, and I bet you're pretty decent at piano if you're playing practice room. You're decent.
I'm decent.
I think you're probably good, but you would just describe yourself as decent because obviously there's a lot of people who are like the goats of piano out there, been playing since they were 5. But Mickey learned the same way. Patrick, who is the producer for the music video we just released, also learned the same way. And they're all, I mean, you're probably the best of the 3 of those people, I would guess, based on how much time you spent playing. But it is unfathomable to me that anyone could have the patience to learn a song on YouTube that way. Bro, that is an exhausting process.
Like, it's just in the moment, right? Like, you just, for example, video game, you like the video game so much, there's a song that kicks you. Just learn it and just the satisfaction to
Was
play.
that what inspired you? Was it like a video game song, or was there a certain thing that sparked it?
No, actually, like movies, like Harry Potter, like Lord of the Rings, like the stuff, Game of Thrones, all the music that I listened so many times, and I was so hyped about this, I learned. So like Assassin's Creed as well, like all of this stuff, like I really love to play them.
That sounds really epic.
Yeah.
We got to get a nuke piano playing thing at some point. I mean, if it's your personal stuff, it's also sacred. I think not everything has to be for content, but everything could be for content,
Welcome to being a caster.
Yeah. So regardless, cool, man. Thanks for sharing that with us. That's so awesome that you have that going, and cool that you like it so much that not only are you playing at home, but you're booking these. Are you booking these spaces yourself and just going by yourself?
Yeah, I just go by myself and I play. Like, I don't need to book,
That's some adult self-care stuff right there, bro. Like, if you had said your manager books it for you, I wouldn't have been surprised and I would not have judged you, but it wouldn't have hit as hard. The fact that you do it yourself, that's sick, dude. That's awesome.
I do it.
Cool. Well, now you're going to have fans asking you to play piano or upload clips. So sorry for that if that was a private thing, but thank you for sharing. Before we talk about the rest of the week and get a little bit more insight into BDS in the context of next week, maybe we can do some questions. Some quick community questions. So if you answered us on X or on YouTube, we just put the question out today. So if you missed a question this time, we'll let you know in the future. That's where you got to be. So the first question, this didn't format correctly, so I'm going to hold my laptop obnoxiously close to my face. At Amisthesia on YouTube says, would enjoy hearing Nuke's thoughts on integrating rookies into the team and the role of a veteran, taking the role of a veteran more as his career has progressed. What's that process been like for you, man?
Actually, really good question. That was probably the most challenging stuff that I had to change from 2024 to now. It's just that everything I do, every word I say, every movement, I like, every breathing has more impact, because like even in games, for example, when I'm making when I'm saying something or making a call, even though it's not good, we will follow it no matter what, and sometimes I'm like, okay, like guys, you can like no need to go that far, but like I learned that even the way I react, like if we have a bad scream or just everything, I should be more responsible, adult in this way, because it can affect the confidence of my teammates. It can like do a lot of stuff. So I'm actually happy that this change of because since 2000, like the start of my career, I forgot everything before 2023. I forgot. But 2023, I was always like doing my stuff, not like being a lot on the agency part. I was just doing my stuff, right? Then now I suddenly have to do everything different. So yeah, it was
that. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that sounds like it's obviously cool that you're taking that on. That sounds really hard because that part of your career that we don't talk about was hard. Yeah. So I can understand why you would want to focus on yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
But I can also understand how it could be frustrating because it's like you spend all this time building yourself up, so much effort, probably a lot of discipline to keep those habits and that practice regime up. And then it's like, life is just like, how about a little more, guy? It's like you still have to maintain all that stuff, and now you're doing all this stuff. How has it affected you individually?
Well, in the first moment, like for the first time, for the first few scrims and even on stage matches, like since I was thinking more for like the team and everyone, especially in mid game, it's really hard to like have an optimal gameplay, you know, in a way that, for example, side gameplay, I feel like I could have way more pressure and way more impact in the game if I didn't have to think about everything. And sometimes it's even wrong to do this because people will know what they have to do on their job. But I feel like in the beginning, like it's new teammate, you always like, you want to win, obviously, right? So I feel like I had to think like this. And recently I'm more of trying to let things go, you know, and like have more impact, but not in the game. Still like by being more clear and not being messy, but more out of game, and how to just like learn together and to improve as a team.
I mean, it just sounds like a huge, potential year of growth for you.
No, yeah, for sure. This year, like, to be good.
We got one more question, but I'll save it till the end. Sorry, Nico Gulner, because it's a meme. So we'll hold on to it. We'll just use it as an opportunity to talk a little bit more, I think, about BDS as a team, because we didn't get to talk to you in winter kind of about this project, but you obviously made a lot of changes this year.
Yeah, my question was going to be more on how has BDS changed over the course of like from last year coming into this year? Because last year, a huge amount of your team identity, it looked like, at least from the outside, was we're going to set up on objectives well, we're going to look to team fight well. You started to get like much better at like using side lane pressure well and stuff like that, but it still kind of felt like team fighting was kind of the core of your identity. Do you now feel with the newer players that are coming in that you're trying to still move towards that identity, or has it been more of a, hey, we're going to try and understand what are the strengths of these players and how we can kind of change our system to best fit them?
Think at the start, like in winter, we were trying to go back to the system, you know, of like playing steady, team fighting, objective, everything. But slowly, and for example, I remember like the draft, like a lot of the draft we did was kind of similar to when I was playing with Cheo and like Adam.
Yeah.
But we don't have the same player, don't have the same strengths. Everything is totally different, and we realized it, you know. Even though like we are looking to be a complete team, right, to be able to play every style and everything. But I think this split, we learned from the last split, and we are more using the strength of our player. And I don't think it's like team fighting, but mostly like, you know, having Boom on comfort pick. Like, I think one of the key stuff that can make the game more easier is me and Joel being on the same page on side laning. And like sub jungle synergy as well, like everything that needs to go together to have it work. So I think we have the right conclusion.
And do you feel that that's changed you a lot as a player? Like you were saying, you kind of need to be the veteran and make the calls. Do you find then that your play style is changing and you have to like work much more understanding how to fit into a side lane better, or fit in with, like Joel being irrelevant, fit in with him better?
Yeah, like that was one of my main, like basically during whole, like from the start of the year until now, that's what I'm thinking always about is I'm like not stressed, but I'm afraid that not one day, but it's like in a situation, I will see the situation wrong, I will call something bad, and we will lose something out of the situation, you know? And this, like I put heavy focus on this because I know that I have to do good on this. I cannot fail, because if I fail, we lose game. I don't want to lose game. So just what I put in more focus on is like VOD overall, like concept of the game, how to play, how to like, depending of your composition, how you should play mid game. Because I think this is where like no matter how early game won't go, if you're better team in mid game, you will win. So yeah, this changed a lot my way of working. Before I was doing a lot of 1v1, like barely only 1v1 in scrims, and then I was doing my stuff. I didn't have to think that much, you know. And then right now it's like opposite. So
are there any like particular teams or anything that you like tend to look for? Like, is it LCK, VODs, like Homwatch and G? Is it like...
yeah, I mean, like actually I watched a lot of their videos, whatever, if it's for Zeka laning phase / how how he plays, just in general, and just the way they approach the game and the way they're using the map and how they move. It's many of them.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds to me also like, there's the part of your career, let's say 2023, 2024, where it was like, you focused on you, and if you popped off and did something extra, that was like a bonus. And now you pop off to something extra, it's still bonus, but you also have this added responsibility of calling. I'm gonna be honest, man, that sounds really hard. I'm excited for you. It's such like, it's a good character arc,
It is a good one.
It's good for you because if you succeed, like, damn, man.
Yeah.
I know we were going to pretend everything started at 2023, but it didn't. And the fact that you've come as far as you have is already impressive. So to add more to that would be super cool. But it's definitely a lot of pressure, I think, for any one person to have. Like, competition is already a lot of pressure. And then leadership in the context of competition is tough, man. I'm curious with how it's going to work. Is there like a silver bullet? Like, if you think of one thing that one problem, if you guys just solved it now, you'd be great. Is there anything like that? I know it's never that easy to solve a problem.
I think, like the main thing would be, like, I'm not sure if it's discipline or not, but our scrim is not going that good.
Yeah.
Like, I think everyone in the LEC
sure
knows. But the way we're losing scrim is totally different from the way we're losing on stage, for example, the game today. When we're losing on stage, it's more of the knowledge part and how we actually click. Actually, mechanical part would be same than scrim, but I feel like in scrim we do way more stupid mistakes that are totally like not needed. Like 5 of us, and then on stage those doesn't happen, and some major concept comes in, and you have to do them well, and we didn't get to them in scrims because obviously
you're doing dumb mistakes.
We're doing dumb mistakes. And confidence, like, when for the people like that don't play competitive or like training is legit 99% of your time. So if you're losing or / every time you go to bed you're not in a good mood because you're losing, it affects your confidence, and you play worse on stage by default. So like, this is, if you can go through this, it will be, I think it will fix everything, and we'll get back to Fnatic form when we barely beat them. I hope.
Like, dude, I think that's, the confidence thing, I think, is a struggle for a lot of teams.
Yeah.
And interestingly, I think the scrims thing is too, right? Whether it's people being able to focus and take it seriously, I think it's the immortal struggle of probably all esports teams, but Western esports teams for sure, because you play so much, right? And I think the closest people at home will get to understanding this. It's like, it's the difference between when you enter that solo queue game and you're losing and you're in a good mindset, you're like, okay, well, I was working on this, this is what I'm doing, versus the solo queue game where you enter in a bad mindset and you're like, well, I'd like to uninstall the game now. I hate that guy. I'm not going to chat. We're not going to type anything to that guy, but we would if it wasn't against the summoner's code, And it's like, but you're just exploring. You're not only doing that solo queue thing, you're also doing that scrim thing every day. And I think it's so tough, because even teams that have been successful on an international level, even like the versions of G2 that I've been able to watch scrims on a national level, their coaches are still reaming players every day about, hey, we're taking it serious. We're locked in. We're going. They're reminding people every game, we're locked in. We're taking it serious. We all agree. This is what we're doing. It's so tough.
I think it's just how intense that is, because it's like being locked in for that like length of time is so hard, because you're often doing it's morning block into evening, afternoon block, right? So I do think if you're putting that much focus in, like, you'll see it on stage. If you're doing a best of 5 and it goes to 5 games, like, you start to see the mistakes slip in because concentration just isn't there, right? So I think if you are doing such a long day, I think it is also difficult to keep that. But I can understand if it's starting game 1, game 2 of the day, maybe. Maybe that's not the excuse. But I think that's, especially like as you were talking about with the Aurora thing, it does just give you false data, right? Where you're just not really sure where you're standing in the whole sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that makes it more difficult.
Yeah. Interesting. Let's get to the fun question. We only had 2 today, but we'll get more in the future. Don't worry. We appreciate everyone who submitted questions. Nico Golner. This is kind of mean, but I think it's okay because you've done well. How many more reverse sweeps can you take?
Oh God.
Okay, guys. Like, how much we got reverse sweep? Actually, let's make it like Let's make it fact.
Okay, fact.
Okay.
Fnatic,
Okay.
Mad,
Okay.
2023,
Mm-hmm.
G2, 2024.
Okay.
Okay, that's 3.
That's a decent number, my guy.
What we forgot? We forgot something. We actually reverse swept someone. Do you guys even remember?
I don't even remember. Wait,
See? We forgot.
I didn't do my research, bro. I just got this off Twitter.
Was it?
No, I remember
Giant
because in the cast they
XL?
were like, the curse is broken. They finally reverse swept
last year.
someone.
PSG Talent Worlds qualifying. Guys,
Yes.
that was the most crazy reverse sweep ever.
You have to
buddy.
remember
I
that
think I
I
cast
rode the
that.
high of you just smashing Golden Guardians for
Yeah.
that entire portion of the tournament that I forgot you even played another game.
Yeah, it was,
I literally looked back. I was there. I cast that portion of this tournament. I forgot everything except for that 3-0 over Golden Guardians because that was great. Thank you for that.
no problem.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
reverse swept, you know?
And PSG Talon,
They were
Legit
stomping
team.
us. first
legit
again.
team. And also, we've seen that the PCS region as a whole, very strong region.
Yeah. I mean, they have insane talent. Like, so much of them been around for so long. Like,
So is the
honestly,
curse broken? It was never, I don't know, you don't want to call it a curse. I'm sorry, I
Like-
don't want you to play into this. I'm not
Okay.
trying to trick you.
It was a curse. It was actually a curse, but first, every player changed.
Mm.
Like, if you think in a more logical way, you know, group curse is more important. Like,
I just said that you were cursed. I don't think we're talking
Like-
logic here. I think we're talking sports superstition, my guy.
like the fact that we don't all have the same trauma, like it kind of helps for the future, you know. So,
Was it actually something you thought of? Like, in the
Yeah,
moment, you're like,
we
not
don't.
again.
like because when we win 2-0 and we lose 2 games in a row,
Yeah.
like we think about
Game
it.
Yeah.
5 is done. You're just like at a handicap for
Like
mental.
it
Yeah.
is, but like I mean, we didn't get to this point for now with this team.
Yep.
To be reverse swept, which I hope we get to this point, like to at least have to be 2-0 up, you know. But yeah, I think we'll be fine.
You did a little mini reverse sweep on Rogue today.
True.
Like,
I don't
Yeah,
think
we-
best of threes count, but that's some good practice.
It's-
You
it's
know,
a
get the
one.
boys in the
It's a
mind
one.
state.
But yeah, to answer the question, like probably 0, like something like this, like close to 0,
Beautiful.
like if possible. Okay, really hard.
As close to 0 as we can get. Thank you, Nico. Thank you, MS. Thank you, everyone who submitted questions. Look, next week is going to be kind of a banger. Would you rather talk more about your game or less about your game, specifically versus KC? Because I don't know how much you actually want to say, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we can.
Let's start with you guys then. KC versus BDS, day 2. KC looked pretty strong. Definitely not like peak form finals KC, but pretty good overall. How do you feel about that matchup? How do you feel about playing against Vladdy? You put him above you on the tier list, so you must have a lot of respect.
Just the way he played in winter, right? It's like I'm like I don't know him personally, you know, but like for my career and what I've been through and everything like this, when I see a player that goes from like being considering as like okay / not good / you know, that has to work on his aim phase and stuff, and he goes to like final and gap caps, you know, it makes me proud, you know, like I'm happy for him and I'm happy that he showed that it's possible, you know. And yeah, that's why I just out of respect I had to put him on S just because of his recent performance. But usually I'm happy to play against him. Like I don't get challenged that much. I'm pretty comfortable. So yeah, I'm looking forward to play against Casey.
Yeah. Anything that you like? What do you think is like Casey's strongest point? Is it mid lane? Is there something else? Like when it comes to, if you had to, I don't want you to over-identify from like a strategy perspective, but if you had to describe it to like a friend wwho doesn't watch a lot of KC or a lot of LEC, what would you talk about with KC? Like,
I think teamwork would be their main like power strengths. Like I think they have really good like square around like the carries, like Kalis and Vladi. Like I think he like Targamas together with Kana on top. I feel like we often talk about mid jungle support, which is really important, but like, I feel like top jungle sup can create so much good scenarios for your carries to be able to play, you know. And I feel like KC are doing this really good, and carries knows how to deal damage, don't int their position. So with this all configuration, you have a really good team that just wins, you know. So
I think a lot of the talk that I see about KC is the like lack of lane swaps now hurting them though, because it's like, hey, you don't have as strong as a 2v2 on the bottom side of the map to try and win through. Like, is this something that you kind of look at and agree with? Because I think for me, we kind of saw in their series that they do struggle when it comes to actually being able to dominate in a 2v2 to then have these leads that they can then extend towards in the mid game.
Actually never thought about it. I knew like Targamas' strength was never like really laying face, but more of his map movement, how he plays with the team and everything. I think Khaleesi is also like, I think he's just really good mechanical player, so by default should be good at lane.
Yeah.
But like I never thought of it actually. I will watch their game and we'll see if we can get something, you know.
I think that for me, I'm really curious to see how your bot lane evolves, because I think that a lot of the things you talk about for KC, where they have like stable carries and people to set them up, is what I would imagine a really good version of BDS to look like. But maybe that's thinking too much of last year, right? And not enough of taking 113 and, you know, his kind of flashier, more carry style jungle. But the thing is like the one thing I feel very strongly about your team, however, you know, much you're on the same page, however well scrims are going, is that like you and Ice are like the rocks of this team. So I feel like if you're going to win this game, it's, in my expectations, going to come from one of you. And that's no disrespect to the other players. You guys are just the ones that I, you know, have the most confidence in. But it's tough. Like Vladdy's a tough opponent.
Yeah.
And I think that for Ice, even if I think that he's really strong, it's like, I don't know if they're going to be able to blow the 2v2 out of the water. I don't know how that comes. I think this is definitely an uphill battle.
Yeah, I think it's definitely difficult to try and like get control in the early game against Casey, because also I just think Geik is
they're just
fantastic.
super stable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it does become tough. So I do feel like a huge amount of it's going to be trying to, like, as you say, disrupt Targamas moving on the map and trying to control that aspect. Because I think once KC get into a rhythm, they're very good at, okay, here's the next objective, here's the thing, here's the wave do we want to be on. Like, I think that's where they are most dangerous. And when they're on an objective, their team fighting is really, really good as well. So I think that's where they do get scary. So it has to be trying to disrupt something in the early game to try and take it off of them. But I think even when they're firing all cylinders, like we saw that First Stand, I keep wanting to say First Strike, but First Stand.
I think First Strike is Valorant. First Stand.
Yeah, I talk to Mitch Man a lot, so it's just the other brain. But it's I think even from behind, we could see that they were super good at team fights. And I think like that is something that just makes them so dangerous, where you always have to be thinking of, okay, what is something that they could do, even when you're in the lead? What is something that they could do to like find a pick or find a moment to come back on? I think that always makes it just like you're on edge for that bit.
Yeah. I think I'm really hoping that you guys have a sick week of practice though, because there's so many moments in this Rogue series. And part of the reason it was on, you know, close on the list, where it's like, it's not a thing that can be communicated, right? Like you just have to trust each other, and I think you guys have at the time. It's just clicks. It's that moment where the Maokai hits the W, 1-3 hits the W, and then cues them out of your seismic shot. And it's just that's it where you're both. It is, and it is kind of just unlucky. But you can't say the human mouth is not fast enough, and you're not telepathic. So it's just one of those things where you need to know, and those little moments, I feel like, if you solve those, then I think there's that chance that you can go toe to toe. You get a lead, things just get easier, things flow more smoothly. But it's going to be tough when you're playing against a team who's had more experience at First Stand, right? And you're still working, I think, on some of those big core fundamentals. Yep. It'll be tough. That said, I'm still really excited for it, because I want to see how the BDS project continues to develop. I'm not going to lie, last season I was very skeptical about your jungler, but his Nidalee continues to impress.
Yeah. His Nidalee's pretty good.
His Nidalee's pretty damn good. And I'm getting progressively more
113.
113. Finn has been standing your jungler from day one, so Finn was right. And I'm excited to see that matchup, especially in isolation. The other one, it's funny because you can tell I wrote this script
earlier today
before, because originally on this list was another KC matchup, which was Fnatic versus KC, which I no longer know how to feel about based on the events of today. And I'm wondering if we should pick a different game to talk about.
No, I think it's like, I do think it was a bad day for Fnatic, and I do think they'll like come back swinging, right? But It's also like to give Fnatic their due. I think, and maybe you can correct me on this. I haven't played competitively, obviously, but I feel like when you have just brought in Duffman, you're trying to fix so many different things and you're trying to change so many things that are in the team and break your default habits. I feel like it is inevitable that things are going to go haywire, where their more natural like rhythm to the game is going to start to fall apart, and you're going to think you can do a thing that you can't do. Yeah. And I think that's probably what Fnatic are suffering with today, where it's just like, hey, we're trying to change 5 different things that are all happening in our mid game, and then we forget that, hey, you can't actually be here in this place because, well, we haven't done the thing that we usually do to be in this position, right? So I think that's probably where the issue is. I think Fnatic are more than likely going to be able to come back and say, hey, look, we've now learned we can't be doing the dumb thing here. We'll actually be in a position to then fight off against KC. And this is still a matchup that I'm very excited about. Like, even if Fnatic looked a little rough today, I do genuinely think they will bounce back. And you've still got insane hands. You've still got insane team fights on this side. So you just kind of have to be in a position where you can actually take those fights against KC.
How do you feel about what he said?
Like,
would you I guess that also importantly, I believe that Fnatic can be better. Would you predict them over KC?
No.
And that's the tough, right? That's the tough thing.
Probably not. But yeah, I mean, it's actually really true. I think the moment you have a system on your team and you have habits, everyone will think by themselves, and you will do something that is enabled because your teammate think this, because your support thinks this, and so it results on you not dying on site, for example. But when you change stuff, when you change like whatever, if it's teammates or like way of working or just people around you, you have these habits of doing this stuff, but this time your support doesn't think this, he doesn't word this that he usually worded, and everything is different, and suddenly you die and you give enemies so much lead, you know? So I think that's really true for anything that change on your team perspective. So if it's the case for Fnatic, then this will explain the little flow down.
Yeah, so it is kind of a reminder of how fragile a team dynamic can be. Because sometimes it does just click and people just think the same way about the game, and it will feel very flawless even if it's unspoken, which can lead to other problems down the line, I'm sure, as people, because as you grow as a player, I'm sure your perspective changes. But it's a good call out that the whole system can kind of, one change can potentially just blow an entire system up, right? But that also sounds like a very personal example. Dying on side lane, wards maybe not being where they
Well, if he just warded, I wouldn't have done
I have some, memories. I die on some places. I'm like, but I cannot die here. And then I realized I should adapt, and then it's all about being on the same page and doing the same thing together.
Sure. It's new year, you're a leader exactly, now. Yeah. It's not anyone's fault that I died on side lane. It's the system. The system that would tell this person to ward so I don't die on side lane. It's fine. I get it, bro. It's tough. It's tough being in that position, having that authority. Respect for that journey. I believe Fnatic can bounce back. But I do think that it's a work in progress. I think you talked about the additional time. I can't remember if you said this on the show or before the show, because we've been talking for a little bit about all this additional time in the context of the week in practice and also a longer season being really good. And I think Fnatic, of the perceived top teams, is the one that will benefit the most from this time, just because of those structural changes. And also because I think of the top teams, they are one of the most volatile and one of the ones where I think you can see from the outside, like, how whatever system they have breaks down a bit. So I don't know if they're beating KC this week. I think long-term, I still have a lot of faith for KC. Last game, I don't know if I should pick a different one. I'm going to say it anyway. I was okay.
You'll understand as soon as you say it. Okay.
Rogue versus GX.
Whoa.
Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Okay. In my defense, for the period of time between the end of that series and when we all started speaking on this podcast, I exist in a world where neither of you had, or where you had not so totally and completely roasted Rogue. And I value your opinion. Hold on. And I value your opinion highly, because I think generally most people would trust that you probably know a lot about the game as a pro player. And I was like, there are positive signs for Rogue. And Rob came in and it's like, Larson, distortion into a gravity field. And then you were like, yeah, that was pretty bad. I don't feel any pressure. We always feel like this. And I've lost a little bit of that faith. Can they do it? Can you guys rekindle my faith? Can Rogue beat GX? GX have had a big stinker of a weekend. Rough weekend. They lost to Vitality. They lost to Fnatic. This is their third match. It'll also be Rogue's fourth match because they play Vitality day one, which is tough. I think
it would be hard.
And then into GX. Are Rogue winning a series this weekend? I'll give you Vitality or GX.
I think Vitality for sure not.
Yeah.
Like 100% not. I think Vitality are just too good to lose against Rogue. Giantex, like if the chance of Rogue winning against Vitality would be like 5% chance, against Giantex it will be like 8.
Yeah.
You know? Like
I don't know if those are really low odds.
like
like toddlers versus professional footballers will get like 90% odds.
Would you bet your eyebrows on it?
my eyebrows is not there. But, like if they win, I'll be really surprised, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I think Giantex lost to Vitality and Fnatic, which I think 2 minimum top 5 team.
Nice. Okay,
like,
so a lot of faith in Vitality. Which I think is cool.
Like I said, I think Vitality is really good. And Fnatic, was Fnatic in a good form, I think.
Yeah.
Like
they played well.
Yeah,
they did play really well.
They played
they played well.
So yeah, like
man, and I'm not bringing this up over and over again just so we can repeat the same points about how bad Rogue is. I'm sure Rogue know how much they're struggling. To be fair, I'm not trying to put you in a position, but I just like every time I see these glimmers of hope from Patrick, a player who's been really good, little bits and moments from Larson, who was, we mentioned this, or something we talked about earlier, is like at the apex of his career was when you were in one of the darkest times of your career. Now you guys kind of swap places, wanting to see him get back to that height. In the meantime, like, yeah, it's a struggle, but we'll see. Maybe they progress week to week. Last thing I want to hit on is Vitality, because we didn't talk about it. They only played one series, so it didn't stand out as much in my mind, but this was, to me, a pretty surprising success for week one. Niski did learn the hard way that level 5 on Alistar is a lot more vulnerable than level 6 on Alistar. But otherwise, I thought this was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of whoopsies, but in general, yeah. And like, Nako, what a beast. I did not expect that. Like, he was a monster on that Gnar. That was so sick. So yeah, I felt like I liked seeing this sounds really bad, and I don't mean to make this as a massive diss to Hilly, but I do think it's like just being able to play a standard game. It felt like Vitality actually got to show, hey, Nako got some skill, and we kind of got to see inklings of it last split. Same with like Chayek, I felt like had a really good game. It was like just setting up for a fight. It was like an objective, we are as 5, we're all going together. They actually got to show what they were capable of. So it fills me with a lot of hope. And I mean, it sounds like from scrims, Vitality looks sick. So yeah, I'm genuinely really excited for this team.
I mean, for Nako, this guy, like when I was playing solo queue and he was like unknown, you know, he was playing Yon Yasuo. Like, I swear, I never saw better mechanics than this in my entire life.
Wow.
Like, this guy on like DOS champ, it was like his 2 TP in solo queue.
Yeah.
He was so good. Like, legit so good. And one day I'm like, I never saw that in Europe yet.
Yeah.
And now he's in LEC and he's doing really good. So
nice.
Happy for him.
We've seen the Yasuo now. Maybe we get the Yone.
Yeah, maybe.
That's hype. I'm excited for him. And I think, like, obviously Hill is saying high highs, low lows. And, you know, I was going to say don't speak ill of the dead, but he's obviously alive. Hilly, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. But I do think there's a certain point, and I think sometimes you need to like let someone else carry. And I think that was one of the struggles I had with Hilly, is that he was a risk taker, and there was good and bad to that. But some of the most egregious ones were in games where he didn't need to go for a big play, you know? And I think that's one thing that Niski for sure isn't going to do. He's not going to. He knows when the Gnar or the Yasuo are turbo fed, like,
just
I'm here for
accept,
you know, set them up, do whatever you got to do for them. And I think that is a boon for Vitality, and it's working. It seems like they're vibing well, which is not surprising, because Niski is obviously a super chatty guy.
Yeah.
But another team I'm hyped for. Top 6 is actually very, very competitive.
Yeah.
Which is hype. I'm glad sorry to the two teams that will finish 7th and 8th, but that our playoffs is only top 6.
Yeah.
You're happy?
I'm happy about that, yeah, because top 8 felt weird.
Yeah,
right? It was just like, who are the two worst teams?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It was kind of just, it felt kind of BM.
That's true.
Any other matchups you want to hit on before we close out, guys? You've been here for a long time, so we're all good.
I was just like, as you're saying top 6, I'm just like, because I've heard SK scrims are going terribly, but now SK have a win over Fnatic, and now I'm like, what the hell happens?
Who's your top 6, Nuke? Real quick. You're not being, it's only week 2.
Okay. G2, KC, Fnatic, for sure. Like Koi.
Yep.
It's 4. 5. Okay. 4 Vitality. 5. Like Koi, I would say.
Yeah.
Like I heard they do good in Scrim.
Yeah.
And then starting from the 6th point, it's like us. Like I would put us, right?
You'd put you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let's say
But if you couldn't put,
Yeah,
no, I appreciate you would put you 6. But even that is a level. I appreciate that level of honesty, because a lot of people they rate themselves at like 1 when and then we just have to be like, okay, do it without your team on the list.
Like,
but who's fighting you for 6? Is the good question.
Giant X, Heretics.
Really, that's cool.
Like, then it's only Rogue, right?
Yep.
Okay, Giant X, Heretics, and more Giant X than Heretics. I would say yes.
And we'll see. I'm curious what happens with Team Heretics. We didn't highlight them too much this week, but we can talk more about them next week. They took down Rogue. You know, that's a start. Even after when that game 1 looked impossible, they managed to find a way. They play G2 and MKOI next week. So a bit of a rough week. Then they play you in week 3. We'll see. You'll have a chance.
Important.
I mean, that's an important match. If you feel like you're gonna be neck and neck with them, that's super important. Yep. Week 3 is gonna be big for you guys. You play MKOI as well, so
it will be like it's okay.
It's okay.
Fine.
It's okay. One step at a time.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for us. Again, LEC. Same thing next week. For those of you who missed it this week, triple best of 3 on Saturday. That means a 2 p.m. start time. And then double best of 3, so 5 p.m. That is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. LEC Week 2, our first matchup, Rogue versus Vitality. And then you can watch the long-awaited mid-lane battle between Nuke and Vladdy, our second game of the day, starting at 4 p.m. local time. So don't miss that. Nuke, thank you so much for being on the episode. It's been a long day for you, man. Congrats on your win over Rogue. I know it wasn't your favorite series to play. There's a lot to be reviewed, but excited to see what you look like in week 2. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.